Do you want to test your microphone, Chair Quila?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Let
can.
me turn
Good.
up here.
How about mine? Working?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Great, thank you.
Looks like we've got about 4 minutes. All right, looks like we've got everybody here. Welcome, everybody. 6 o'clock on the dot, we'll get started. The Board of Commissioners, as the governing body of Clatsop County, all county service districts for which this body so acts, and as the Clatsop County Local Contract Review Board, is now meeting in regular session. Teresa, can we have the roll call?
Chair Quila,
Here.
Vice Chair Banks,
Here.
Commissioner Toyoka,
Here.
Commissioner Webb,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
I'm here.
All right, thank you, Teresa. First is the agenda approval, and we do have an amendment to the agenda. We'll need to add an item under the business agenda as item 5A, the emergency declaration due to homelessness resolution and order. Any other comments, questions on the agenda? Can we have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second, Thompson.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to the proclamation, and we have a proclamation for National FFA Week, and that's on page 44 of your agenda. So we have, is it Gina Russell who's joining us?
It's Jenna.
Jenna, sorry, Jenna.
All good.
Is the Northwest District Future Farmers of America president, and welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. According to Oregon FFA, Future Farmers of America was founded by a group of young farmers back at the national level in 1928. Their mission was to prepare future generations for the challenges of feeding a growing population. They taught us that agriculture is more than planting and harvesting. It's a science, it's a business, and it's an art. In 1988, the official name of the organization was changed to Future Farmers of America to FFA to reflect the growing diversity of agriculture. Today, we are still in the Future Farmers of America, but we are the future biologists, future chemists, future veterinarians, future engineers, and future entrepreneurs of America too. Oregon FFA was founded in 1929 and today consists of 114 FFA chapters, totaling 15,043 members statewide.
Well said. Thank you, President Russell, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution and order proclaiming February 18th through 25th, 2023 to be National FFA Week, and authorize the chair to read and then sign the proclamation.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the resolution and order proclaiming February 18th through the 25th, 2023 to be National FFA Week, and authorize the chair to read, then sign the proclamation. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. And I'll go ahead and read the proclamation in the matter of proclaiming February 18th to the 25th, 2023 to be National FFA Week. Whereas FFA and agricultural education provide a strong foundation for the youth of America and the future of food, fiber, and natural resources systems. And whereas FFA promotes premier leadership, personal growth, and career success amongst its members, and whereas agricultural education and FFA ensure a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing needs in the science, business, and technology of agriculture. And whereas state, regional, county, and local governments are taking actions to address climate change, and that these efforts are led by elected officials and community partners. And whereas the FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve, gives direction and purpose to these students who take an active role in succeeding in agricultural education. And whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, leadership, patriotism, and cooperation, now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Clatsop County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim February 18th through the 25th, 2023 as National FFA Week in Clatsop County, and invites the community to celebrate FFA members, students and their families, faculty and staff, participating businesses, alumni, and supporters of our local Astoria FFA chapter, dated this 22nd day of February, 2023. Thank you so much, Jenna Russell. Appreciate you being here, and we're happy to proclaim this week.
Thank you.
Next is business from the public. This is an opportunity for anyone to give a 2-minute presentation about any item on the agenda, except for public hearings, or any topic of county concern that is not on the agenda. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
Not at this time.
Okay. And I know that we made a change this evening to be virtual due to the frigid conditions and the weather forecast. So I appreciate everybody accommodating that this evening. And if we don't have any public comment, I'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. We've all had an opportunity to review the consent calendar prior to the meeting. Any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve consent calendar.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll start with commissioners' reports. We'll start with Commissioner Bangs.
Well, it's going to be short and sweet. The Banks family was pretty sick for the last 5 days, and so we are now seeing the light, and everyone is back to feeling healthy. So it's been a roller coaster. Couple of my kids were able to skate through and still continue doing their activities, but the rest of us were not doing well. So I didn't get a whole lot accomplished. But I see on my calendar that there's a lot upcoming in my future here in regards to CFTLC this Friday. And then I also have a plan to be driving down to Corvallis March 5th for the Board of Forestry meeting. And so, yeah, there's a lot upcoming in our future. And just a little shout out, our Clatsop County, Miss Clatsop County competition or scholarship competition is going to be occurring this Saturday at the Seaside Convention Center. So if you guys have time in your schedule at 6 p.m., you should swing by and take a watch, because my daughter is competing as a teen. And so I am pretty proud of her. Her public speaking is pretty awesome. So just come by, watch those, our future, I call them our future leaders. These kids have goals. And so it's neat to watch them and see them advocate for themselves, but also for their platforms. So anyhow, that's it for me.
Great report and good luck to your daughter. Commissioner Thompson.
Well, thank you, sir. As we know, it's legislative session. I've been busy supporting AOC roads and our own county road system, urging that ODOT continue its fund transfer program so that we can do federal projects for bridges and roads. There's a House bill. There's a lot of political activity around that. Anybody who wants to be involved is welcome, because our county road folks need that very much. Another thing that I'm working on is AOC membership committee. And what we're looking to do is to increase the contributions of the business community to support the Association of Oregon Counties, so that we can have better public-private partnerships all over the state and ease the burden on the tax-paying, dues-paying members of all the counties all over Oregon. AOC Budget and Finance is moving forward in a similar vein. One other thing, Ariane Colombo, who has served almost 3 years as the executive director of COLPAC and Northwest Act, is headed for graduate school. So we're going to be recruiting a new, I want to call a pragmatic economist, to come and help guide our region-wide economic development. So stay tuned for more details about that. That's it for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Webb.
Yes, thank you. I am hoping that everybody is aware of the Brownfields meeting that we talked about at our last meeting coming up. And I've received a lot of good comment from people who kind of haven't known about this and didn't know about their properties being on the list. So I'm hoping actually that the newspaper maybe will have something about it. But the first meeting is tomorrow night, particularly focused on Astoria. It's supposed to be in the Boyington building. I guess we'll see what the weather holds for us. I guess, can I ask Teresa if we have any advanced knowledge of any of these? I have a full day of meetings tomorrow, and I'm kind of wondering how we're going to know if something's been. I have a Parks and Rec meeting tomorrow in person, and I guess the Housing Task Force in the morning. Is there going to be some kind of a shout out about that? So that we know.
I would imagine, as I hear, I'm sure we'll hear first thing in the morning about the Housing Task Force in Seaside if it's going, and I will be notifying you.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. I will be testifying in Salem next Monday morning on Senate Bill 90, which is the proposal to put together a task force of people to meet about alternatives to county and special district financing if the HCP is passed, as it looks to be pretty strong right now. So I'll be doing that on Monday. Also, I'm sorry, this evening I had a handout for you all about the Northwest Oregon work sessions going on. And a little bit of a, we're actually, our next board meeting is going to be here in Astoria. And I'm hoping that before then we can get a presentation to the board about the work of this very ambitious committee. Also, I never know when I get an invitation to something, whether it has gone to all the commissioners. I don't know why people are so secretive about who their list is. But Job Corps is having kind of an open house on March 16th. Did you all get invitations to that? Okay, I'll make sure you do. I'll make sure that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure everybody gets them, because I think it's one of our most incredibly wonderful job, resources that is statewide. I mean, it draws students from statewide. And coming to Tongue Point is always a wonderful event. It's only going to be a couple of hours this year. So I strongly urge everybody who can to come, because it's fascinating. They have, I think, almost 20 courses now, and they have a tremendous placement average. And they have the only seamanship program in any Job Corps facility anywhere in the United States, which I think is pretty spectacular. So I think that's it. Thank you. And this weekend is Fisher Poets, incidentally, one of Astoria's absolutely most wonderful things ever. So I catch it wherever you can. Thank you.
I agree. It's a lot of fun, the Fisher Poets. And I did see that the Astorian had an article about the brownfields in February 14th edition. So they are getting the word out there.
Okay.
Commissioner Toyoga.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Sorry we can't be in person. Hopefully we'll get past this winter weather and actually have spring in Oregon. That would be nice. Just a few little things to catch up. I'm actually this year, instead of a commissioner liaison, I'm actually a member of the Board of Property Tax Appeals. So I've been doing a lot of back study and getting a lot of knowledge to keep up to speed on that, so I can be an effective member of that board. There is a housing development funding forum tomorrow. So I'll be attending part of our housing program here in the North Coast. So I'll report back once I find out what we're doing there and any progress we've made towards housing. And there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of things happening, just nothing clear to report at this point, because there's a lot of things in works that county manager and Monica and development director Henriksen we're all involved in it. And there's a lot of pieces moving. So when there's something concrete to report, I will. And the last thing I want to report is that we do have the Senate Bill 795, and I personally like to support that. And I'll see if we can have more discussion about that to support it as a county and as a commission, Board of Commissioners, to support that Senate bill. It's relevant to the HCP and it has great impacts to our community. So that's it for now.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Toyoga. And I don't have anything to report. I'll turn it over to our county manager.
Thank you, Chair Quaylen, members of the board. I just have, I'm just going to piggyback off of Commissioner Webb and just reassure that the Brownfield meeting that is at 5:30 tomorrow in the Boynton is also hybrid. And so it'll be available no matter what the weather. And as Teresa noted, as we find out about the status of other meetings, we'll be sure and share the information as we go. We did send postcards out to the property owners that were on the initial list of brownfield. So we hope that generated a little interest and their participation tomorrow evening. And besides that, I will go ahead and give it back to you, Chair Quirlo.
Thank you, County Manager. We'll move on to the business agenda this evening. We have agenda number 5, Project Turnkey 2.0, purchase approval, Columbia Inn, and execution of funding agreement on page 69 of the agenda. And
Good
this is
evening.
exciting. I'll go ahead and turn it over to our Assistant County Manager, Monica Steele.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is really exciting. So as you all know, we have been actively going through the process of getting approved for Project Turnkey 2.0. And that is for us to be able to acquire the 22 room unit Columbia Inn located on Marine Drive in Astoria. We received a notice from Oregon Community Foundation that we did get approved. The purchase price of the hotel was for $2.3 million. And we put in a request because there are additional capital improvements that need to take place, which include life and safety measures for fire and sprinkler alarms, as well as ADA accommodations, and then just some other upgrade modifications, removing some carpet and putting in vinyl flooring and such. And so we were approved for just over another $500,000 for that. So our total award will be in the amount of $2,806,042. We are closing on that property with your approval this evening on March 3rd. And at that time, the county will take possession of the property. We have already begun having throughout this process conversations, as you're all aware. CCA and the harbor will be the operators. And so we are working on putting together a contract agreement for them. They will operate it. The county will continue to own the facility and maintain the facility. They are also working with other social service providers such as CBH and Helping Hands and Lifeboat Services. So that way we can all coordinate efforts together. We are having meetings with those organizations as well as the city of Astoria and their law enforcement agencies to make sure that this is a successful and collaborative project. And so this evening, we're just asking for your board to approve the resolution and order for the purchase of the inn, as well as execution of a project funding agreement with the Oregon Community Foundation.
Thank you very much, Assistant County Manager Steele. This is the culmination of a lot of effort. There's a lot of moving parts that need to be coordinated here. And this goes back a long time. I know you applied first in August, but we applied for Project Turnkey the first time around in the first iteration as well. But congratulations to the staff and your tireless work on this and putting this all together. Commissioner Webb.
Yes, I have a question about the funding, which hopefully, I guess I have a couple of questions. My first question is there something in the purchase and sale agreement, or is there some kind of a legal codicil to that agreement which ensures that this property is used in this manner in perpetuity?
There is a requirement that the properties stay used for this, and if it weren't, then the county would have to pay back the funds. And so it is the intention. It can move from a emergency shelter type situation to a permanent supportive housing situation, but it does need to remain for this purpose.
Okay, good. I'm assuming that this is all happening without the use of HUD vouchering.
That is correct. There are other funding mechanisms. So the Columbia Inn will, the population that CCA and the harbor are looking to serve are some of our underserved populations, which include the domestic violence victims, families, and the LGBTQT plus community, the Latinx community, those veterans, and those who are participating in substance abuse services or looking to be engaged in those services. And so by providing services to those populations, there are some funding streams that they will be able to receive for operating dollars. It will be an ongoing effort. The funding streams always seem to kind of shift as to where they go. So the county, you all have through the ARPA dollars, the funding concept, your board has committed to providing some dollars for emergency shelters, which the county will be bringing before your board, I think, next month. And then also, seeking support from other agencies that would benefit from being able to house these individuals.
Okay.
We are also, and sorry, Commissioner, I will just also add that the county is continuing to apply for grant funding. We did complete an application for some operational dollars. And then I know that there is current legislation to have ongoing support for Project Turnkey recipients for operating dollars as well.
Yeah, that's in Salem right now. One of the questions I have is, I assume that since this program has been in operation for a couple of years, that there are some of these turnkey facilities up and running. And I guess in my work with domestic violence sheltering, and the presence usually of children in those situations, if there are any examples of projects like this that have a mix of people perhaps with alcohol and drug problems and also families in the same facilities.
So we are working and reaching out to other turnkey recipients, and then the harbor, they do have experience in regards to trying to house individuals
Yes.
and figuring out kind of the varying circumstances in regards to oftentimes they're putting people in hotels that sometimes have other populations as well. So there is going to be systems put in place. They're also exploring putting up some security measures. If you're familiar with the Columbia Inn, it is just an outdoor hotel, so all the doors are outward facing. And so looking at being able to put up some security measures so that way they're in the evening hours, you have to be let into the space besides
Right.
just your room.
Right. And so what kind, I'm assuming it looked like one of the staff people that you listed, that there would be some kind of on-site management 24/7.
Yes, so that is a operational proposal that was put together by CCA and the harbor. That is their operation plan, and they do plan to have a 24/7 person on site, and then there will be case managers throughout the day as well. They're looking to be able to provide the services there on site. One of the spaces, when you come into the currently the motel, the check-in lobby area, there is also a apartment off of that, and they'll be looking at converting that to meeting space. They also are looking at how they will be able to provide an area for people to eat. So they will be looking to serve 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner. And so that's something else that we'll be exploring once we take possession of the building. So that way we can go in there and kind of look at, okay, how are we going to accommodate these spaces and these needs?
Good. Are we going to be given a tour of this building at some point?
I'm sure that we can, prior to making any changes, once we take possession and kind of work through some things, I'm sure that we can make that accommodation.
Okay. And what kind of a time schedule are we on? What are we aiming for?
We're planning to have a meeting actually this Friday with CCA and harbor staff, as well as our buildings and grounds staff, to kind of start having those conversations. It's a little bit difficult at this point in time to get a feel for what our timeline is going to be, but the goal is to get get individuals housed as soon as possible. And so while there are renovations that have to take place, we have talked about trying to make it so that you can at least have some rooms that are accommodating individuals while construction is taking place in another part of it, and then flip-flop and then be fully operational. So those are some of the things that we have to work through, but it is, you know, a goal to be up and running in 45 to 60 days.
No, I saw that. I think that's very ambitious. Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work, Monica.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? If not, we'll need a motion.
I move to authorize the chair to sign the resolution and order for the purchase of the Columbia Inn and the execution of project funding agreement with the Oregon Community Foundation.
Thompson seconds. Thank you.
Moved and seconded to authorize the chair to sign the resolution and order for the purchase of the Columbia Inn and the execution of a project funding agreement with the Oregon Community Foundation. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Job well done. Thank you so much, Monica and Dawn, and please pass it along to everyone that worked on this. This is a fantastic development. Next is the item 5A that we added to the agenda. This is the emergency declaration due to homelessness. And our county council is on, and county manager, we had to make a few additions to our original resolution, and that's what this is this evening, is that we're now approving one that has everything that OEM wanted us to have in it. So county manager.
Thank you, Chair Quayla, members of the board. As they say, the third time's the charm. And so sorry that this has been back a few times, but this version has been fully vetted with OEM, and it is very specific to declaring an emergency and the language that is required to formalize that. And so the indications we have with the governor's office is the county will be included in the emergency order. So this will be a formality, but an important one to make that happen. As you will recall, just as a little background, there was an initial slate of really mostly urban counties that were included in the initial executive order. Rural counties felt that we also, and certainly Clatsop County, felt that we also had a housing and really homeless issue that also needed assistance, technical assistance, and resource assistance from the state. And so we had asked the state to consider that, and that was the first resolution that your board passed, was to ask the state to include us. Subsequent to that, the state had to work through a process to include additional counties and had to identify additional criteria that could be used to include additional counties. So as that was going on, we introduced the second resolution based upon the information that we were receiving from OEM at the time and from the state, thinking that that might be sufficient. And the good news is that the county did meet the new criteria. The challenging part of it was the county had to go through a process to be included, unlike what happened with the first slate of counties. And so this third one reflects the first two, but also a lot more clarity from OEM about what the process is and the path forward. So that's the resolution that is in front of you today. Some of the language I actually used from the initial COVID-19 emergency order that was approved by your board all those now years ago. I think that was in 2020. So it'll be a similar language to what you saw back then. So I'm happy to answer any questions that your board may have. Justin is also on the line to answer questions as well.
Thank you, County Manager. I do want to recognize Justin Gibbs, our Clatsop County Emergency Management Director, for all of his work on that. He's been back and forth with OEM multiple times in order to clarify exactly what they wanted us to include. And this has been an evolving process. since the start. I think it's fair to say that they did not have this up and running and ready to go. It's been kind of an iterative process, and Director Gibbs has done a fantastic job as our county manager and our county counsel, Anthony Pope, in order to put this all together. So I really commend the work that you guys have done in order to craft this in just the manner that we needed to. There was a comment made from the governor's office that this is standard operating procedure, which I thought was very funny because there's nothing standard about about this process at all. But again, thank you so much for all your hard work. And is there anything from the anything you want to say, Director Gibbs, or anything from the commission?
I just wanted to add that we've garnered a following 30 minutes before the meeting. Interim Director Garrett actually reached out through staff to confirm that the meeting was tonight. So they're checking in on the status of the resolution. And Director Garrett actually reviewed it and approved it and notified the governor that it would be on its way. So I think we're in good standing to move forward this time. So looking forward to that.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. And we do want to thank Director Gibbs and everyone at OEM for their cooperation in getting this put together. And I know that that's been something that they've had to adjust and develop along the way. So we appreciate all of their help. Any other comments, questions? Are we ready for a motion?
I move to approve the new resolution regarding the emergency declaration of homelessness. I don't know what other title to put to it to make it what it needs to be so that the chair can read and sign.
Second.
Move second to authorize the chair to sign the emergency declaration due to homelessness. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. I don't know as it's necessary for me to read the entire, I mean, it's fairly lengthy and I read it at the last meeting, so we'll go ahead and just sign it and we can move on. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our public hearings this evening. So first is ordinance 23-05, ending moratorium on short-term rental licenses, excuse me. This is on page 82. So this is the time set for a public hearing on ordinance 23-05, ending moratorium on short-term rental licenses. So we will start with the staff report. May we have the staff report? And I see Gail Henriksen, our Community Development Director, is here and will be presenting on this.
Actually, Chair, I'm going to defer to County Counsel on this item.
Oh,
thank you.
Excellent. Okay. So my apologies, Anthony Pope, our County Counsel.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Gail. I know that the board is pretty up to speed on this topic, but what I'd like to do is just give a quick history and summary of the issue, and then we can, take any questions. On August 25th, 2021, the Board of Commissioners adopted Ordinance 21-03, which placed a moratorium on short-term vacation rentals in the county for a period of 120 days. The moratorium has since been extended 4 times and is set to expire on June 22nd, 2023. Early in 2022, the county became aware that it was issuing STR permits outside of the Arch Cape area in air. To help fix that issue, in June, the board adopted Ordinance 22-05, which made short-term vacation rentals a permitted use in all the unincorporated parts of the county. Shortly after it was passed, there was a petition that was filed to have a referendum for that ordinance on the ballot. After they collected enough signatures, the ordinance was referred to the citizens to vote on if it was going to go into effect or not. It is the legal opinion of the county that while this referendum is pending, that ordinance 22-05 does not go into effect. And this means that right now, even if the moratorium is lifted, the only place that it would be legal for short-term rentals to be new licenses would be in the Arch Cape area. Me and Gail presented this to the board on January 8th in a work session. And after we presented our information, several members of the board asked us to bring this back for a discussion and a vote. So the matter before you today with this public hearings is if we should end the short-term rental moratorium.
Okay.
Gail, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions of staff at this time? Okay, I'm not seeing any. May we have the first reading by title only?
No, I didn't print it out. Just give me a second here.
Oh, yeah, sure. I see that Commissioner Webb has her hand raised. So
Okay,
Commissioner
good.
Webb, do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. It was my understanding that in work sessions, and I have listened back to the recording of our work session, that it is inappropriate. I don't even know if it's illegal, but for the commission to take a vote. And to my recollection, there was no vote taken. So I would just like to express the fact that I am opposed to lifting this moratorium. I think it is a slap in the face to people who live in Arch Cape. And I just want to make it very clear that I do not oppose the lifting of this moratorium. Excuse me, that I do oppose it. So thank you. I just wanted to make that very clear.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Webb.
And I just would like to make a comment. I don't think that there was a vote held during the work session. I do think direction was given to staff. So technically there wasn't a vote during that work session. This would be the first vote on it. But I do have that title here, Chair, if you want me to read it.
Yes, please.
Well, excuse me, could I make one more comment then? I think that there should have been a vote taken. I don't think it's fair for any commissioner to open up the agenda for a meeting and find that something is being done that hasn't been voted on. And so I would like to object to that. I think this should have been brought back to a commission meeting, and a vote should have been taken, just as a vote was taken on all of the previous renditions of this. And I'm very sorry that didn't happen. I think that's a dereliction on the part of process.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Webb. I think work sessions are an opportunity for us to discuss, and then we also have direction given, but it's not a vote. And this is our opportunity to vote. I mean, in my opinion, so this is the opportunity for all of us to weigh in. Commissioner, does anybody else have anything from staff? Okay, so we'll go ahead and can we have the first reading by title only?
This is in the matter of an ordinance rescinding ordinance 21-03, which suspended new short-term rental license processing under Clatsop County Code sections 5.12.010 through 5.12.120.
Thank you, County Council. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on ordinance 23-05. Does any member of the commission have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Nope, not seeing any. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
Yes, there are.
Okay, Teresa, if you have signed up to testify, please wait until you're called on, then give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
Charles Dice.
Charles?
Yeah, this is Charles Dice, 31911 Clatsop Lane, Cove Beach, Oregon, 97102. Dear Commissioners, I do not understand why the Board of Commissioners is so anxious and determined to extend STR permits that were illegally issued. Isn't this just compounding the mistake that the county made by violating the law and issue the permits in the first place? Why do the commissioners persist in ignoring the needs, safety, and security of the residents of Clatsop County in order to benefit a few business owners of STRs, most or all of whom live outside of the county, and many live outside of the state of Oregon. Why do the commissioners have such an allegiance to these business investors from Lake Oswego, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Dallas, New York? Why do the commissioners have such little regard and respect for its own citizens who live in these residential neighborhoods in Clatsop County? The data is very clear and well documented. Thousands of Clatsop County residents have sent in emails, letters, signatures to the board stating that they do not want STRs in their residential neighborhoods. The data is publicly available. I think the public has a right to hear from the commissioners as to why they are ignoring their own residents and betraying the laws originally put in place to protect our residential neighborhoods in favor of these outside business investors. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Teresa?
Yes, Jeff and Denise Davis.
Okay, Jeff, Denise?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We're Jeff and Denise Davis, 79432 Ray Brown Road, Arch Cape. Let me take myself, there we go. Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to voice our strong opposition to proposed ordinance 2305, especially the section regarding extending permits outside of Arch Cape. You and your legal counsel have confirmed that vacation rental permits outside of Arch Cape have been being issued unlawfully. So with all respect, in what universe does it make sense to extend this illegality? We just don't see the logic. In the January 20th Historian article entitled County to Lift Moratorium on Vacation Rentals by Nicole Bales, a quote attributed to one commissioner on your board provides a rather telling perspective on the county's responses to the vacation rental issues resulting in the proposed ordinance. Quote, I just sure hate to see folks lose their livelihood while this mess is being sorted out. End quote. Please note the use of the word livelihood. Livelihood does not describe families trying to hold on to their second homes by occasionally renting them out. No, livelihood means making a living off of this house. Proposed ordinance 2305 demonstrates the majority of the board's commitment to investors, most of whom are not even county residents. This ordinance not only condones, but promotes profiteering. It lines the pockets of outside business people and multinational corporations who want to make a killing off of the homes in our neighborhoods at our community's expense, at the expense of our county's teachers, nurses, tradespeople who struggle to find available homes to purchase or rent long-term. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Cameron Lewis.
Cameron?
Wife right here. There you go.
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent. Cameron Lewis, 89883 Ocean Drive in Warrenton and Surf Pines. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony this evening. Your agenda states that ordinance 22-05, which the board adopted in June 22, allows STRs to be permitted in 16 zones districts to correct the concern of any illegality. What the commissioners did was to correct a concern. The commissioners have gone on to issue STR permits unlawfully and are trying to cover up that unlawful act. Except for one member, the Board of Commissioners really doesn't understand the negative impact on homeowners. And this is across all of both this county and many other counties that have impacts on short-term rentals. Except for one member of the Board of Commissioners, as I said, don't understand that impact. You tried to make an end run around the Clatsop County citizens-driven land use planning process. And finally, this has been thwarted in that you're taking the low road again and allowing STRs broadly across the county. This does nothing to neighborhoods other than undermine the relationships within neighborhoods. And anytime that you understand somebody's coming in from the outside, in some of the places here in Surf Pines, there are 16 people allowed in a individual place. It's a party. It's nothing but a party place. And that doesn't build neighbors. The people of Clatsop County deserve better than this. And this is a real dodge in what has to be taken. The whole country, by the way, is dealing with this right now. We deserve to be represented by the commissioners who prioritize our needs, not the interests of folks outside of the county. The Board of Commissioners doesn't care, at least it doesn't feel like you don't care about the people who live, work, and raise families here and can't find suitable housing. That should be the #1 priority, not someone that comes in from the outside, does very little from an investment standpoint or a value standpoint. And here we are discussing SDRs, not where we're going to do affordable housing as one of the important things. Last, the bad policy, bad governance, and poor community building shouldn't be the flag we wave. From those who do care about protecting the integrity of our neighborhoods, please vote yes in measure 4221, May 16th, sorry, and keep SDRs out of residential neighborhoods where they can never be allowed on a beneficial basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron.
That's all the testimony.
Okay. We'll go ahead and allow for any responses from staff. Do we have any comments from our county council or community development director at this time? Okay. I'll go ahead and continue the public hearing to, and when will we be continuing this to?
Sorry, I was on mute. It'd be till March 8th.
Till March 8th? Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and continue the public hearing until March 8th. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll move on to ordinance 23-02. This is a public hearing on the Lawduck legislative amendments on page 87.
Thank you, Chair.
Go ahead. Yeah, this is the continuation of public hearing on ordinance 23-02. Is there any additional information from staff? And I will turn it over to our community development director, Gail Henriksen. Sorry, Gail.
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. No, there are no updates since our last public hearing on February 8th.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Clerk of the Board, are there any members of the public that have signed up to speak?
No, there are not.
Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and I don't think we have any comments from staff, so we'll close the public hearing at this time. Do we have any discussion? If we don't have any discussion, do we have a motion? And this is on ordinance 23-02.
I'll make a motion. The requested action is to approve ordinance 23-02 and conduct the second reading by title only. Didn't we just do that?
No, this is,
Okay.
yeah, this is for the, Lawduck, yeah.
I'll second the motion. Thompson.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve ordinance 23-02 and conduct the second reading by title only. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. And County Council, can we have the second reading by title only?
This is ordinance number 23-02 in the matter of an ordinance adopting amendments to the Clatsop County Land and Water Development and Use Code to address legislative updates pertaining to land use regulations.
Thank you, County Council. And that is our agenda this